so much for taking the time to join us today as we introduce you to both NewVoiceMedia and how our latest summer release has improved and extended what our product can do for both sales and service organisations. My name is Claire Wenham and I look after product marketing here at NewVoiceMedia, and today I'm joined by Scott Effler from our product management team. We're going to spend the next half an hour giving you some background into what it is we do at NewVoiceMedia and how that's benefited our customers before moving on to talk about some of the highlights of our summer release. At the end, you'll have a few minutes for a Q&A session, so be sure to submit any questions you may have via the chat panel. And for those of you who are brand new to NewVoiceMedia, let me give you a quick 10-second overview of who we are. Well, we're a cloud communications platform with 99.999% platform availability, similar to the business models of Amazon, Google, and Salesforce. Our customers benefit from enterprise-class communications and contact center functionality at a fraction of the cost of traditional systems. We help organizations to link the data they have about their customers to every conversation they have. So let's start with why. Why does NewVoiceMedia exist? Well, our mission is to connect everything you know about your customers to every conversation you have with them. This is because when you can enrich the conversation, be that over the phone, by email, or by web chat, with context, data, and insight, you can really begin to make personal connections to the people you're speaking to. And personal conversations are always more successful conversations. In the sales world, this means you can improve your conversion rate, as research from NewVoiceMedia show that 59% of people are irritated by generic sales pitches. In fact, in the same survey, people said they would have been 86% more likely to have purchased if that caller had spent a mere 5 minutes researching them and then tailoring the call. At the other end of the customer lifecycle, if you work in a service environment, when you can preempt your customers' needs, greet them in a personalised way, and enable customers to self-serve the easy stuff, you'll find that customer loyalty swiftly follows. So why did we make this our mission? If we pause for a second and have a very quick history lesson, don't worry, nothing too boring. I'm not going to be doing any quizzes on World War II here. Instead, I want to talk to you about the history of the disconnect. What you see here is an illustration of what's happened over the past few decades. A divergence between the data-rich world of mobile, the internet, and ultimately CRM, and the world of telephony. As the former has become more context-aware, more personalised, and more interconnected, it seems the world of telephony, that of PBXs, ACDs, and dialers, has become less so. Most companies have a huge amount of data about their customers. Can you imagine how much better the customer experience would be if you could unlock that information during the conversations you have with them? This is what we're calling the intelligence gap, and it's what we are determined to help customers and companies overcome. I mean, we've all had those terrible contact center experiences. You know the ones I mean, the ones where you call up, enter your customer reference number into an IVR, and then when you finally get put through to someone, the very first thing they ask you for is your customer reference number. It's just so frustrating. But when you're able to link your telephony and wider contact center infrastructure to rich sources of customer information, such as what's held in your CRM, billing platform, or marketing automation software, you can begin to deliver impactful sales performance and truly market-leading levels of customer service. You can, of course, do this yourself, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and most significantly, a lot of money to integrate your communications infrastructure to your back-end customer platforms, which is why, of course, experiences such as the one I just described still happen. It's just too tricky to close the intelligence gap. Now, if that didn't sound tricky enough, imagine trying to achieve that on a global scale with different regional problems to solve. What carrier do you use? How do you report across your various regions? And how do you balance demand? And so on. What you end up with, if you're lucky, is something that looks like this. Each region has their own independent communications infrastructure and a number of vital business services, such as the CRM hosted in the cloud. What we at NewVoiceMedia do is remove this complexity to enable you to focus on selling more or serving your customers better, rather than managing the technology. We remove all these regional telephony instances and instead move all your communications to the cloud. This comes with a number of benefits. There's no hardware or software for you to buy, manage, maintain across multiple cities, countries and regions. There's no telco management for you to handle. We do all that for you. So your customer's experience is consistent, high quality across the globe without any hassle. We also deliver automatic upgrades to our customers, meaning that you no longer have to worry about maintenance or obsolescence and can instead stay focused on running your business rather than the technology underneath. The result is an intelligent communications platform that creates a collaborative connection between enterprise data and communications data. For the first time, companies can have a true 360-degree view of their customers to empower their employees, generate greater transparency across the sales and service departments, and ultimately deliver a truly amazing interaction experience across their customer journeys. It's our goal to eliminate the practice of cold calls and robotic service. The world deserves smart calls and personalized service. So how do we do all this? At the heart of our technology is a robust platform that seamlessly connects our communications infrastructure to your customer data, both in your contact center and across other applications in your business. We have built a platform to bring together communication experiences across sales and service. The Intelligent Communications Platform is designed with a trust-first, API-first vision at its core. What this means is our customers benefit from a unified experience within CRM solutions, just like Salesforce. It also enables them to connect their communications channel with key enterprise applications and other data sources across their business. So at the heart of this platform, you can see two versions of our product. A version tailored to the sales team, those working in a predominantly outbound environment, and another tailored to those working in the service department, responding to inbound contact. Now I'm going to quickly step through what each of these products looks like and how our customers have benefited from them. I mentioned earlier, one of the key factors to a successful sales call is knowing who you are calling and why. In fact, at NewVoiceMedia, we are determined not just to help you make more calls, but to help you make smarter calls. We want to give you the insight and, most importantly, the tools so you can answer some of the most important questions you may have as a sales manager. Questions such as knowing what drives a successful sales conversation. Does it take you 4 calls to book a meeting or 5? Can you track a prospect's activity across different communications channels? Are you able to easily motivate your sales staff to be more productive whilst ensuring they're following best practice? And ultimately, what can you do to boost answer and conversion rates? With Contact Well for Sales, we've developed a suite of features that enable you to confidently answer these questions. Firstly, one of the most important things is the fact that the whole Contact World application is natively embedded within Salesforce. This single unified desktop means sales managers are able to tie together the activities of their outbound sales teams with sales results. And for sales reps, they no longer have to flick between different applications to get the job done. They can click to dial or even use the dialer, and all activity is automatically logged in the CRM. Then to boost activity levels, we have our dynamic dialer that automatically prioritizes dial lists based on a contact's activity. So if they download a white paper, request a callback, or attend an event, we can use this information to make sure your hottest prospects are always at the top of the list. And our dialer doesn't stop there. It can automatically detect what outbound number to display based on the person you're calling. With localized numbers being shown to increase answer rates by nearly 40%, it's vital that you can tailor your outbound activity to every prospect. Finally, let's not forget that sales is a super competitive environment. Gamification is a great way to play into this mindset. With our gamification module, you can award points, badges, and run competitions between different sales reps and teams to see if calling the most prospects in a day or closing the most opportunities in a quarter. As they compete against one another, hopefully you'll see targets smashed. But don't just take my word for it. Here are some of our customers who have benefited from using ContactWorld to have more successful conversations. Unveiling, a globally owned, it's a family-owned global company that develops highly efficient products and solutions for heating and hot water. When they wanted to upgrade their contact center infrastructure, they were looking for something that reflected their core values. Now, NewVoiceMedia's ContactWorld uses the latest technology to provide super efficient call handling, which in turn enabled them to deliver great performance and service. So our outbound dialer delivered a 200% efficiency improvement for them, as it solved a number of problems, including reps misdialing numbers. For them, the integration of Salesforce meant they could have all the customer contact history and call recordings together, alongside analysis that drove better results. Ritani is an award-winning luxury jewelry brand with offices in New York and Seattle. So since choosing NewVoiceMedia solutions for its cloud contact technology, Ritani has a 30% increase in sales performance in less than 3 months. EPOS now is a leader in cloud point of sales, and with a customer base of over 10,000 businesses, including names such as Disney and Universal Studios, EPOS now requires an equally impressive cloud contact center solution. Their CEO credits NewVoiceMedia with providing them with a reliable platform that enabled them to scale their calls from just over 8,000 in its first month to over 54,000 in June 2015. And without us, they certainly wouldn't have been able to sustain anywhere near that level of calls on their old system. Now, quickly moving on, just as we saw in the sales arena, there are equally pressing questions that need to be answered in the service arena. Questions such as, how do you maximize first contact resolution? How do you engage and motivate agents so they're happy and deliver the best level of customer service they can? And most pressing of all, how do you balance your cost to serve against these? With ContactWorld for Service, we've delivered a tailored feature set to suit the demands of these goals, enabling you to focus on finding the answers to some of these questions. So I'm not going to labour the point of the native Salesforce integration. I talked about that with the sales product. But again, it does make a real difference to your agents. Having everything there on a single screen rather than spread across different applications that automatically update, so no more having to log calls or update a contact history, makes a huge difference to employee satisfaction. But one of the key features I am going to talk about is omnichannel, and I think it's really important to stress the omni here. This means all your contact center channels handled in a single routing engine rather than in separate queues. It might sound a bit of a minor change from multi-channel to omni-channel, but it can have a huge impact on customer experience. When everything is managed by a single routing engine, you can prioritize on a number of factors, not just channel. So now emails from gold customers get answered before the unknown caller on the general inquiry line. Previously, you may have just prioritized voice over email. Most significantly, we can achieve this working alongside Salesforce's new omnichannel feature. So you can handle all of your emails and social contacts via Salesforce and deal with callers through our solution. So again, it's a single interface with a fully integrated presence engine. I think the final feature I'd like to pull out here is how our dynamic IVRs can make a big difference to our customers calling in. First of all, they are smart enough to enable customers to self-serve the easy stuff. I don't think I'm alone in not wanting to speak to anyone sometimes when all I want to know is my bank balance or where my parcel is. So having an IVR framework that can easily integrate with your back-end systems enables you to achieve this. Secondly, IVRs needn't be clunky. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. They can be smart and recognize who the caller is, play them a personalized message, or proactively offer them information, and then finally automatically route them through to an agent based on what you know about them. But again, that's enough of me talking about these features in the abstract. Instead, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how some of our customers are benefiting from ContactWorld for Service. So customer experience is a top priority for VACs. Fax uses the latest in cloud technology from NewVoiceMedia and Salesforce to achieve amazing results in its new customer contact center. They have been able to boost first contact resolution rates from 78% to an industry-leading 87%, while simultaneously boosting efficiency. For example, they were able to handle the same amount of contacts while headcount fell from 97 to 84. But perhaps most importantly, employee satisfaction in the contact center has rocketed from being the lowest ranking department in the organization to the highest. Secondly, Labour First, a retiree benefit management company, currently supports over 30 unions and public sector clients with over 25,000 members. They differentiate their business by providing personalized and exceptional customer service. And they knew that in order to do this, they had to ensure first call resolution, which is why they chose Contact World for service from NewVoiceMedia. Furthermore, since implementing the solution, they've seen an incredible 16.9x return on investment. Finally, Travel Holdings, the world's largest cruise agency, they looked at both in-house and cloud solutions before deciding. But they made up their minds that a cloud solution offered clear advantages to the business. It's easy to deploy, there are no requirements for additional IT or infrastructure costs, and no maintenance or upgrades. So that meant Contact World offered them a one-stop shop for all of WTH's telephony requirements, which included results such as increased booking conversion by over 2% over the year and a reduced customer service cost by 23% year on year. So these two halves of the same coin to either side of the customer. The life cycle of selling to supporting a customer is continual and connected. So why should the tools that you use to deliver this experience be divided? We help customers and companies to bring communication and insights across these two worlds together on a single platform. The customer experience is no longer just about sales or service, it's about a call, an email, a text or a tweet that are brought together in a conversation. It's about how all of these things are connected together to deliver positive action, results, sentiment and loyalty. And that's what drives us at NewVoiceMedia. So, before I hand over to Scott to show you how we continue these themes with our latest summer release, I'd just like to let you know that you can access much more information, data sheets and watch videos on our website, as well as in the attachment and links on this webinar. So if anything's caught your imagination, please go check it out. Some of our research into sales and service trends is really eye-opening. So, actually, I know I said I'd leave questions to the end, but there's one here that I think would fit in really well. So Scott, if you're there, actually, I'm going to hand this question over to you. So the question is around our release cycle and how that works with what we've said about being an agile development company. So Scott, if you could just answer that, and then the floor is yours to show everyone about our latest Summer 16 release.
Awesome, and thank you guys for joining us today. So I think it's really key to understand that agility and what we do. So we actually have a release code every week, but we have that code and are very thoughtful about how we deliver that out to our end users and to our end customers to help encourage change management, to help promote across an organization their use of features. And so we bundle that up and give that packaged environments to our customers in this split release cycle to help them really encourage change through the organization and get a full exposure to those pieces that are there. And so we've started this over the past few releases, and with Summer 16, it's great to be here today to talk to you about some of those features and pieces that we are currently pushing into the product. And so as I look at Summer, one of the big things, and sort of welcome to our Summer, we have over 20 new features that we pushed into the product, and these are core across all of our pillars, whether it be from our IVR to our user interfaces to creating a wealth of experience for the end users and the backend administrators in our systems. So we're very happy, and we'll talk about and highlight some of those today. But again, we encourage you guys to go and find out more information about the depth and breadth of all of those features on our website and then the attachments that Claire mentioned. One of the big pieces there as well is around the focus on our user experience. So as we look at the focus on the user experience for whether it be our end users or whether it be the people who are designing a call plan, whether in our interactions, whether it be administrators that are there, we wanted to be very thoughtful of that. So you'll see a huge focus on what we're doing with our end users in the summer release as well as what we go into future releases on this. And then finally, the 3 new feature pilots. We've instituted a pilot program inside of New Voice Media, which basically gives you that ability to get access to information before it goes GA to the public. It gives us an ability to find out information from and feedback from you guys, as well as from getting information and showing some exposure to you around what we have been doing and what we've been focusing on inside of our labs, inside of our development systems that are there. So without further ado, let's talk a lot more about summer in these 20 new features. It really kind of breaks them down into 4 key pillars or themes. And one is the performing at scale. And when we talk about any of our customers, whether it be on the sales side or the service side, or a lot of our customers that use both of it in that full life cycle of selling to their customers and then servicing them, a lot of it's about performing at scale. How do we grow with you as a company? So as you have more users, as you have a larger and more complex interactions with the users, helping you to do that. So we've built a core set of features to make things more dynamic, things more variabilized inside of your system so that the right person, the right information, you can have that basically read in from back-end systems versus having to sort of make that static and pushed out in the systems that are there. So we've had a core focus and we'll continue to focus on how we grow with you and us as we grow as a company, being able to support our breadth of users and customers. Around team efficiencies, there's a lot that we do around team efficiencies in general, whether, again, on the sales side with your sales reps or your service agents that are out there. There are a set of efficiencies that we see that are key and important for teams. And so as we look at the teams, how can we basically help them improve their time? How can we improve the quality of data they're getting into the information and systems that are there? So we'll focus on core team efficiencies. And again, this crosses both sides of the house. So as we look at an integration into a Salesforce environment where you're dealing with sales or service, it's key to us to remember that no sooner is your person that you're selling to becomes a customer, goes from prospect to customer, you're servicing them, right? Like you need all that information, that breadth of knowledge you've had there. So again, making that team efficiency is not only efficient inside of each of the organizations and your sides of your organization, but across both sides of the house as one customer goes from the prospect to customer side. I mentioned user experience. This is one that's near and dear to my heart because the user experience team rolls up to me. But as we look at user experience, it's not just some colors on a page, but it's also what does it mean from an end user side of the house to interact with our technology? What does it mean from the business process side to interact with it? And so we are on a continual journey with user experience. It's one that never stops. You no sooner are in favor of shadows in one environment and then all of a sudden a flat design appears. So we are looking to, and we are working alongside of our partners to make sure that we fit in place to make sure that we are being dynamic in those environments. And then finally, with all those experiences, what makes up our core backend, and Claire mentioned this earlier with our platform, but that intelligence communication platform, you know, she gave you the history lessons of the intelligence gap, which wasn't boring at all, Claire, thanks. But that intelligence side of the communications platform, making it so that we really know that we have to go and make sure that in the platform, we're providing the right data to the right applications and making use of all of our technologies across the stack, whether it be on our system, whether it be in other systems, but making sure that we're providing all those pieces that are there. Cool. So the summer of the user. I mentioned user experience as being a key focus as we are looking at the technologies that are coming forward. And really, this is all about how we're focusing on the summer of the user. And I mentioned those key personas that we have around, whether it be the administrators, whether it be the interaction architects on the business side, whether it be those core users. So as we go and focus on this user, we've really broken down to these 6 core features that we wanted to highlight today. But again, if you're looking for more information, either reach out to us or go and look at the collateral that we're providing to give you much more breadth on the total set and features that we're releasing during our summer release. The first one I want to talk about is around the dynamic call plans. And so dynamic call plans are really important because this is what enables us as someone calls into the organization, as Claire mentioned earlier, as I come into an IVR, for us to be able to make sure that we can dive into back-end systems, route you in the right way. Make sure if we know that you're and we know that you're French, you speak French, they can automatically go and put you into the right queue into speaking to a French operator. Not actually having to have you answer the questions, but us knowing because of who you are calling. Make it more personal experience that's there. And so those dynamic call plans aren't just an experience to make it easier from an end user or back-end user administrator configuration, but really, if you think about it, it's to make that experience better. Make that experience better for the customers, making it more dynamic for them, giving someone who is the right person, the first touch point being the right touch point for them as they go into an interaction. So it's really that focus that's there. And so we've done a lot in the past with what we're doing around our call plans and our interactions, but really the focus is continuing about making it more dynamic for all those features and components that we want to show. We're also looking at call quality logging. I'm sure all of you have had some experience where you've been on a call, whether it be on an IP call or WebRTC from a technology perspective, or whether you've been in Google Hangouts or wherever you might be making your call from, and all of a sudden something went awry. You maybe didn't hear the person. Maybe something happened. So one of the things that we're looking at is understanding, and Claire talked about those 5 nines, making sure that we are having an incredible amount of uptime. Our back-end systems also have incredible ability for redundancy and resiliency. And so we want to make sure that as we identify problems and we can start to see spikes in information, that we can in turn take effect and take note of this and basically try and solve the problem faster and more responsive to you. So this is one of our first steps. We've actually added some call quality logging into our application. That is your end users, the guys who are on the front lines, the people who are seeing information and maybe are experiencing the challenges straight away, how they can give us some direct feedback. And as we start to see spikes and do analysis around this, we can take the necessary steps. So this is one of our first steps in this whole quality expedition or experience that we're on. We are really looking to make sure that we start to focus and get information back from those core end users that might be experiencing this. As we go into the next slide, Claire also mentioned the omni-channel pieces within Salesforce. And so one of the things is that we have our incredible partnership with Salesforce and all the things that Salesforce does well, and that we utilize Salesforce for ourselves. And as we look at our customers that are utilizing sides of the house for the live agent or for emails or for when they're using us for voice, there became this disjointed notion just because of the fact that we needed to have more discussions between our back-end systems and Salesforce's. So what we've basically done in this release is we're maintaining your state. We maintain the capabilities across the states so that if you're busy taking a chat maybe in Live Agent, we won't send you with a call. We'll do vice versa. So if you're on a call, we won't send chats to you. So basically we're giving you that capability from both sides of the house to maintain your state, to maintain the flow, to make it more of a seamless transition and manage your queues across your organization more efficiently. So it's a core piece as we look at any of our Salesforce integrations, as we look at any of our integrations from omnichannel. It's core and paramount that we look at these pieces, and it's one of our key functions that we're looking at today. As we go into the next slide, it's really around what we're doing with our dial lists. So dial lists can get complicated and have many rules, especially as you deal with technologies that synchronize them off to their own platforms. And one of our core tenets is that we utilize the data in-house. So as Claire mentioned, having that the hottest lead at the hottest time and getting back to them. So we basically have always maintained that data with inside Salesforce. Now we've just made it more upfront and more instantaneous, with basically having a true dynamic nature so that when you go to make the next call, we have that information. Know if the next hottest lead is coming from the website just then, providing your end users from your rep's perspective that new information, giving them the more information that's right and paramount to them at that point in time. So this entire focus around our data list, and we'll be pushing this more and more as we go forward, but really it's all around how do we make this dynamic, how do we make this paramount for our end users, and how do we really drive those hot leads, those right calls to the end user at the right time that's there. So after you've made the call, you have all your information. One of the other things is how we relate it back to context. And I always say that context is key. Some people from a brain perspective might go and look at an account. Some people might look at the contact that's on there. Some people might be going and look at opportunities. But how do we relate that information to the right place and the right time inside the system? So as we look at this, it's really the ability to relate to not only a who, but a what. relating it to those two sets of information inside of a system. And we give you that capability, and as we dip into Salesforce, we'll actually determine, oh, we know who this person is, or we know which opportunity this might be. Is this the right thing you want to link it to? So not only providing the mechanism to link it to the right place and the right time or right components, but also having it in the right place in your components for making sure you're having them in place at that time. And finally, one of the big pieces that we have had around this is around our Lightning experience. So Salesforce introduced Lightning a while back. We have been working with Salesforce a while to make sure that we are in line with those pieces that are there. And so really this is much more making sure that we fit in line, that we look like one application to your end users and focusing around a true Lightning experience that's there. So what we're continuously in lockstep with Salesforce is that they go out and they release full Lightning architectures into their backend. But this is really making sure that your end user experience is sort of at the same par and same level as what they expect when they go into the Lightning console from Salesforce today. So those are our main focuses for summer. And as we go into this, we're glad to take some questions from you guys.
Great, thanks, Scott. Before we sign off, I think we have time for a few more questions. If you could just stick around for a couple of more minutes, guys, that would be great. We've definitely got a few that have come in here, so let me just take a look at them. So, Scott, we have a question here about WebRTC. It was mentioned in the webinar invite, but I know we didn't have time to cover it today. So it'd be great if you could just give a quick overview of what it is, kind of the benefits, and what we've done in the summer release with WebRTC.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. So yeah, we've done a lot with WebRTC. We've integrated with WebRTC a while back, and one of the big pieces with WebRTC is making sure that we integrate from a core technology layer. It helps us to get up to speed and up in the right technologies faster with our customers. It's a more agile approach. It's computer telephony based, so it gives us that flexibility and framework that we need to kind of be there. One of the big things that we've done in summer is expanded our geographies. So we had a capability for this to be done in North America, and we've expanded that into the EMEA regions, and now we're currently working on APAC and hope to be there shortly with that. So it's really an expansion of that technology.
Yeah, I know a lot of our kind of SMB customers have found it really useful because the lack of kind of technical telephony infrastructure you need. You don't really need even phones on desk for you to get up and running with WebRTC. So it's been really useful in that space. So okay, I think we've got time for one more question if I can squeeze it in. Everyone else who submitted the questions, thank you. We don't quite have time to get to them today, but what we'll do is we'll make sure we note them all down and we'll get in touch with you, and so we can have a follow-up conversation and address any other further questions you might have. But let's finish off on a question that someone has around, great to see our summer release, but how do we decide what went into it? Do our customers have a big part to play in that? Do we look at future trends? Kind of how are we shaping what we're releasing?
Yeah, so a lot of feedback and a lot of things that go into our product come from our customer feedback. So as you guys, if you're a current customer, please talk to your AEs, send messages to us, and let us know how things are going, where things that you might want as new features that are there. We have multiple pillars that we look at and we dive into, whether it be from market trends as well as across core components from our sales organization, from our professional services integrations, as well as technologies from the core side of innovation. We have an innovation house and a labs house inside of our inside of the company that goes and they dive into a lot of what's happening next. What are those next things that we want to support? And so that group feeds in directly into our Big Bang and the one more thing pieces that are coming out. And but from our customers, I think is probably our number one source of where we want to hear from them, as well as getting feedback that shapes what is next. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a key thing. When you start the cloud journey, you want to make sure you can begin to shape and influence it. I think that's really great for customers and prospects to hear. Thanks for that, Scott. Sure. But I think I'm absolutely going to have to call it a day on it now. It's been a really great half hour, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. Have a great day wherever you are, and be sure to get in touch if you're interested in learning more about how Contact World can help your organization to have more successful conversations. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
conversational systems. We help organizations to link the data they have about their customers to every conversation they have. So let's start with why. Why does NewVoiceMedia exist? Well, our mission is to connect everything you know about your customers to every conversation you have with them. This is because when you can enrich the conversation, be that over the phone, by email, or by web chat, with context, data, and insight, you can really begin to make personal connections to the people you're speaking to. And personal conversations are always more successful conversations. In the sales world, this means you can improve your conversion rates, as research from NewVoiceMedia show that 59% of people are irritated by generic sales pitches. In fact, in the same survey, people said they would have been 86% more likely to have purchased if that caller had spent a mere 5 minutes researching them and then tailoring the call. At the other end of the customer life cycle, if you work in a service environment, when you can preempt your customers' needs, greet them in a personalized way, and enable customers to self-serve the easy stuff, you'll find that customer loyalty swiftly follows. So why did we make this our mission? If we pause for a second and have a very quick history lesson, don't worry, nothing too boring. I'm not going to be doing any quizzes on World War II here. Instead, I want to talk to you about the history of the disconnect. What you see here is an illustration of what's happened over the past few decades. A divergence between the data-rich world of mobile, the internet, and ultimately CRM, and the world of telephony. As the former has become more context-aware, more personalized, and more interconnected, it seems the world of telephony, that of PBXs, ACDs, and dialers, has become less so. Most companies have a huge amount of data about their customers. Can you imagine how much better the customer experience would be if you could unlock that information during the conversations you have with them? This is what we're calling the intelligence gap, and it's what we are determined to help customers and companies overcome. I mean, we've all had those terrible contact center experiences. You know the ones I mean, the ones where you call up, enter your customer reference number into an IVR, then when you finally get put through to someone, the very first thing they ask you for is your customer reference number. It's just so frustrating. But when you're able to link your telephony and wider contact center infrastructure to rich sources of customer information, such as what's held in your CRM, billing platform, or marketing automation software, you can begin to deliver impactful sales performance and truly market-leading levels of customer service. You can, of course, do this yourself, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and most significantly, a lot of money to integrate your communications infrastructure to your back-end customer platforms, which is why, of course, experiences such as the one I just described still happen. It's just too tricky to close the intelligence gap. Now, if that didn't sound tricky enough, imagine trying to achieve that on a global scale with different regional problems to solve. What carrier do you use? How do you report across your various regions? And how do you balance demand? And so on. What you end up with, if you're lucky, is something that looks like this. Each region having their own independent communications infrastructure and a number of vital business services, such as the CRM hosted in the cloud. What we at NewVoiceMedia do is remove this complexity to enable you to focus on selling more or serving your customers better, rather than managing the technology. We remove all these regional telephony instances and instead move all your communications to the cloud. This comes with a number of benefits. There's no hardware or software for you to buy, manage, maintain across multiple cities, countries, and regions. There's no telco management for you to handle. We do all that for you. So your customer's experience is consistent, high quality across the globe without any hassle. We also deliver automatic upgrades to our customers, meaning that you know so much for taking the time to join us today as we introduce you to both NewVoiceMedia and how our latest summer release has improved and extended what our product can do for both sales and service organizations. My name is Claire Wenham and I look after product marketing here at NewVoiceMedia. And today I'm joined by Scott Effler from our product management team. We're going to spend the next half an hour giving you some background into what it is we do at NewVoiceMedia and how that's benefited our customers before moving on to talk about some of the highlights of our summer release. At the end, you'll have a few minutes for a Q&A session, so be sure to submit any questions you may have via the chat panel. And for those of you who are brand new to New Voice Media, let me give you a quick 10-second overview of who we are. Well, we're a cloud communications platform with 99.999% platform availability, similar to the business models of Amazon, Google, and Salesforce. Our customers benefit from enterprise-class communications and contact center functionality at a fraction of the cost of traditional